Long ago, we thought Legion was the big bad. Then Chronicle came out and we were told the Void Lords are the true villains. But now, we're learning about the Jailer and most recently the first ones, who are to this day all but a complete mystery. However, seeing that they essentially subjugated us all, are the first ones the benevolent makers and the creators, the architects of the universe, or are they just another villain serving their own goals and purpose? Are the first ones the big bad guys? I'm guessing all of you remember the old lore dating all the way back to Warcraft 3, where we thought the Burning Legion was the scourge of the universe, dead set on destroying everything, the big bad guys, and if and only if we stop them, there could be any hope for peace and harmony. But there really was the hope. They were just so outrageously powerful. Well, a few years ago, as the first volume of the Chronicle was released, a lot more depth was added to this, I'd say quite a basic but also very good storyline. We realized that only reason Sargeras went on the Burning Crusade in the first place was because of the Void Lords and their constant chaos. The Void drew him insane, their innate chaotic nature, and he realized that everything had to be undone, like the universe just had to be destroyed, and these all-powerful Void Lords defeated if there was ever going to be true order in the cosmos. Well, fast forward a few years and everything changed once again, and we realized that Sargeras was really not all that influential as we thought before, and that the Void Lords are just one part of the cosmos as a whole. Most recently, like less than a month ago, even more was expanded, way more. We realized that most of what we've known thus far has essentially been glorified BS, and that most of the Chronicle is really biased, to say the least. Now, of course, I am aware that we have known that the Chronicle was from a Titan perspective since the start, but through the brokers, it is all but confirmed that most of it is really just propaganda from one side, from one cosmological force. Before, we believed that an explosion happened and that the light and the void came to be. From the light came the Titans, Naru, and later on life, and from the void, well, the Void Lords and Chaos. Well, based on the new lore, apparently all of these 6 forces of the cosmological child already existed, they were present, and more than likely they were at war with each other. It is not certain what type of a war, but it is 100% confirmed that they were in opposition at the very least. Then, the first ones, aka the 7th cosmological force, swooped in, they ordered all of them, and created a cosmological balance which has been breaking throughout the years, the decades, the eons, but I think right now we are witnessing the final blow, the final cracks of this grand machinery. Previously, I made quite a bold statement that the Jailer might in fact be the good guy, and I was mostly wrong, as he pretty much told us he wants to enslave everyone, but wouldn't really say that completely disproves my theory. I never really said that the Jailer was the benevolent good guy and looking out for the good of us all, but in his own universe, in his own mindset, he is the good guy. For example, you can't really say the Void is evil. Sure, as their natural state is chaos and our, as beings of life, is order, they are the devil incarnate. But chaos is their natural state of things. To them, it is just reality itself. I think the same could be said for every single cosmological force on that chart. For example, Death is pretty chaotic as well, so in Zova's eyes, he is just following his nature. And in the case of the Titans, order is everything, so when things are ordered, they're good. When there is chaos, they will wipe it out no matter the consequences and who ends up as collateral damage. So I think you can see what I'm aiming for here. Each force follows their purpose and what is natural to them. However, this brings us to the main guys of this video, the fabled first ones. Right now we know very little, so naturally we can only speculate, but some things we do know. We don't know where exactly they came from, but apparently they may be outside of our realm, a complete outsider force, and it is all but confirmed that they decided to order everyone else and to put everyone in a box, a very vague box at that. Even the Jailer refers to them as the makers, albeit he calls their design flawed. They really, from this story, sound pretty much exactly like the Titans, and just how Titans order the planets, these guys seem to order the entire universe. Now, let's take a closer look so that we can make sense out of this, so you can see what I'm getting at. Since forever, we have known them as the benevolent force of the Titans, and for the playable races, they are actually the creators. For example, the dwarves, the humans, the orcs. However, are they really so benevolent? They are beings of order, so they followed their purpose and went around the cosmos ordering all these various planets. They defeated the bad guys and then put their mechanism in place and all the facilities in order to enforce order. However, what if to the bad guys, the Titans are actually the bad guys? They are the ones purging other cosmological forces that are opposite to them. Then, for example, on Azeroth, almost everything we had known about them has been through their own creations, the Titan Forge. And then, obviously, we were told a very biased story from their own creations perspective. So, when you hear Titans, you almost instinctively think good guys because they pretty much brainwashed us throughout the eons. Well, what if the first ones are exactly like this, just on a much larger scale, on a universal scale? Maybe this is precisely what Blizzard meant when they called them Titans++, like big scale ++ Titans. Even the Jailer called them the Makers, so obviously they affected various forces across the universe. They're above everyone else. The Brokers vaguely told us that they came from a different place, that they're outside of our perspective, but I have an interesting theory regarding this. At the beginning, the cosmological forces were at war. What if one of them won? The first ones, which are in fact beings of order. I mean, seriously, the first ones resemble the Titans just so much. They order places, possibly by force. Their artifacts are very Titan-like, and everything we had really seen related to the first ones could be said to be of Titan origin, and people wouldn't even notice. They really wouldn't even bat an eye. What if Order won the cosmological war eons ago? They enforced this mechanism and they created their own minions, the Titans, to continue their work. Remember how back on Azeroth, the Titans couldn't come in, so they created a Titan Forge, all these various races? Well, what if we zoom out and the Titans are actually the cosmos walking Titan Forged, and the first ones are the Titans, so like the Azeroth scenario just on a universal scale. However, obviously they didn't really succeed as the Titans were all but defeated and the mechanism has been breaking for ages, and the Jailer is now dead set on dealing like the final blow to this grand design. We don't know how they ordered life and whether this benefits us or not, but it is entirely possible that we are also the victims, just like every other force in the universe, even the Jailer himself. Now, the Jailer is not fighting for justice here, as he obviously, well, he said it, he wants to enslave us, but as I mentioned, that might just be his nature. What if he really breaks the mechanism and now we have to fight for our own and join in the cosmological war, this time without any imposed rules? However, the first ones could return. They could come in and try to bring us all back into a box of their own design once this spell is broken by the Jailer. If the Makers are really capable of enforcing order on every force in the universe, they may just be more powerful than everyone else. Depending on what their relationship to us is, they could either be the true bad guy or the ultimate good guy. Really, only time will tell. Thank you for watching. Check out what will happen to Sylvanas after her betrayal, and also check out Norlan's Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.